I get too into my head, and it's like, oh, it's got to be perfect. No, it doesn't have to be perfect because life isn't perfect, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do this stand-up, get your body moving type video in which we address what I think is the most ridiculous criticism that people make of Jordan Peterson. And there are plenty of good ones, but the most ridiculous one is that Jordan B. Peterson spews word salad. In his 12,000 word mini novel about Jordan Peterson, which is all this, Nathan J. Robinson, who is just the absolute epitome of raw animal magnetism, intellect, sophistication.
Free markets are the greatest poverty reduction system in the history of the world. Poor people have iPhones now.
Just the absolute top G, more so than Cobra Tate himself. Nathan Robinson says, and I quote, "Needless to say," I'll do it in a British accent. I can't do it in a British accent. "Needless to say, when someone is this convinced of their own brilliance, they can be unaware of just how far afield they have drifted from the world of sense and reason." True. The diagrams and figures in maps of meaning are astonishing. They are masterpieces of unprovable gibberish. This is not what he sounds like at all right? But everyone from the island of the United Kingdom sounds the same to me, and that's all fine. Let me tell you why this isn't the case. These are masterpieces of unprovable gibberish. This is silly because these diagrams, as I'm about to explain here in a second, I've got these nice lectures pulled up just to contextualize stuff, are not gibberish. They're, in fact, very useful. And they're some of the most fundamental diagrams in Jordan Peterson's maps of meaning. And listen, I'm gonna be honest, nobody loves diagrams more than I do, okay? So let's get into it. All right, it is now 2 hours later, having screwed up in so many ways. But anyway, let's start with this first part of the diagram. I'm going to let Jordan Peterson explain it initially, and then we'll walk through it.
So I've made the case for you that you exist within this thing. I've never figured out exactly what to call it, because you can call it a game, or you can call it a frame of reference. It's a pretty good one. Or you can call it a story. Or you can call it a unit of perception, but that's not exactly right, because it's more than perception. It's really what it is a micro-personality. It's your personality as it manifests itself at the highest possible resolution. That's what this is.
It's your personality as it manifests itself at the highest possible resolution. Okay. Anytime that you are doing anything, you are operating in one of these frames, okay? If you are a human being doing anything, this defines what you are doing. There's a couple parts to it. There's the outside parts and the middle parts. When you do something, what do? You go from point A to point B. That's what is the unbearable present. I should have a laser pointer here. That's this is point A, and this is point B. You cannot do anything without going from point A to point B. Now, it might not be a physical move, but it could be a state shift. So, I can go from here to the grocery store, or I can do my homework, and that means going from a state of not having my homework done to having it done. So doing something involves going from point A to point B. There's no if, and, or buts about it. And when you do something, one of two things happens. Either you get a predicted outcome or an unpredicted outcome, or a semi-unpredicted outcome, or whatever. So when you are doing something and the predicted outcome occurs, what happens? You get the feeling of, this is what the diagram indicates, it's kind of weird, promise, hope, and pleasure. Pleasure is the most important one. Dopamine, you do something, you have a mini goal, you achieve the mini goal, and you get rewarded. Or something can be an unpredicted outcome, right? And that will provoke threat or anxiety. Now, you'll notice here that promise and hope are also part of this, and we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so let's walk through this whole thing. Let's say my action, the frame, the point A and point B is, I want to drink this whole beer. I want to go from the unbearable present, not having drinking this beer, to the ideal future, having drunken this beer. So what do? Okay, I plan a sequence of behavior. Well, I'll sip the beer, I'll put it up to my mouth and drink it. And either a predicted outcome or an unpredicted outcome will occur. Now, chances are, if I sip the beer, that's pretty much what happens. There's no unpredicted outcome there. And in that case, I just continue the sequence and continue that behavior until I finish the beer. But what happens if an unpredicted outcome occurs? Let's say I'm drinking this beer, or I crack the beer open for the first time and I sip it and I go, wait a second, this is not a beer, this is an IPA. I wanted beer, and I predicted that I would taste beer, but instead I tasted the devil's urine. And what happens is, now, because it's an unpredicted outcome, I step back a little bit. Whoa, this interrupts my frame. There's now threat and anxiety. So what do? I need to generate and choose a new sequence. So what would that look like? Okay, well, normally I was just gonna sit here and drink the beer, but now I have to go into this kitchen, dump the IPA out, throw the rest of it out because I'm looking for beer, and then grab an actual beer, like a Shinerbach. Okay, and then I come back and I've generated a new sequence. Well, what is it? Well, it's what I was doing previously, or what I demonstrated previously, to just drink the beer. Boom. And then that's the frame. That's point A to point B. Now, why does it say promise and hope next to threat and anxiety? Because promise and hope are up here. Why are they in lower parentheses here? Let's pick a different frame to explain this. Let's say I was supposed to get dinner with my friend. We had planned it. The unbearable present is not getting dinner with my friend. I'm all alone. Ideal state is having dinner with my friend. And I text him and I said, hey, when are you picking me up? Blah, blah, blah. And I expect 6 o'clock or whatever. That would be the predicted outcome. But instead I get an unpredicted outcome. Hey, I can't make it. Oh, crap. Threat and anxiety. God, now I'm going to have to, spend the night alone or whatever. And it sucks. So I get threat and anxiety and I have to generate a new sequence of behavior. But then I think, okay, in the process of generating a new sequence of behavior, what else am I going to do? I think, oh my God, I just bought Tostito's pizza rolls and I have a whole bunch of them in my freezer. I can eat those. Boom. What was originally anxiety, I can now just have Totino's pizza rolls. And so the unpredicted outcome, which was not good, maybe not ideal, still presented promise and hope in a different regard. And so that's what generates a new sequence of behavior. And if the ideal future was, spending my night productively, well, it was originally going to be with a friend, but I've generated a new sequence of behavior to have Tostino's pizza rolls. Boom. That's how I've regenerated my frame in the hope of, in the face of an unpredicted outcome. Now, here's the cool thing. The cool thing is that this frame works at every level of analysis. So Peterson said this is a micro-personality. It's your personality manifesting itself at the most granular level. It can also manifest itself at the most abstract level. So for example, if I have the beer, okay, point A to point B is drinking the beer. But it could also be something like live a good life, which is extremely abstract, almost too abstract to actually take any action on. Because here I am living my current life. I'd like to live a, good life that ends in the future sometime. And that's where this diagram comes in, because each abstract frame can be broken down into smaller frames, right? So the way it's set up is a little bit different on here, but family care. Okay, let's say the abstract goal is take care of my family. Okay, let's say I have a kid and my goal is take care of my child. Okay, well that breaks down into, I gotta prepare food for my child. That's the most basic thing. So we get down to here, complete meal. But that even decomposes more, where I need to go, okay, I need to actually cut corn, set table, do dishes. And so when your personality is manifesting itself moment to moment, it's doing it in those individual mini frames. So this single action is a frame that gets exhausted once I'm done with that, and then I move into the next frame. And they make up these bigger frames, and that's what builds in a hierarchy of abstraction. Okay, so we'll end with this full image and prove once and for all that Nathan Robinson doesn't know what he's talking about when he accuses it of being unprovable gibberish. So we have our frame. Okay, let's go back to the beer. Any frame I'm operating in, I have some level of known information, but most of the world around me, I don't even know what's going on, right? Like I'm here in my apartment, I know the building is stable, but at any point anything could go wrong, and there's an infinite number of factors out there. And so that's chaos. That's the unknown, right? There's so many unknowns surrounding the frame I'm in. My information is limited. So what happens when anomalous information arises from the unknown into my frame? So for example, let's say I'm drinking the beer, right? I'm standing here, I take a sip. Wait a second, this isn't beer. It's not even IPA. It's anthrax or arsenic or some sort of poison. I thought I was drinking beer, and it turns out it's poison, right? And that's anomalous information to the nth degree, because that will kill me, right? So what happens? This new information came through, and I could make a different example. Maybe a bomb goes off outside my window or something, and now the frame that I was in, disintegrates. That's what disintegration is. Anomalous information comes forth from the unknown. It destroys the frame that you're in, and you disintegrate. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to develop a new frame. So if I was drinking arsenic or a bomb goes off or something that destroys the frame I was in of drinking beer, now I have to go, okay, well, I need to do something new. I need to go to the hospital. Oh, crap, I just drank arsenic, my arm just blew off or something. Okay, what do I do? What's my sequence of behavior? We'll start again. I'll pick up my phone, call 911. Oh, crap, my phone's out of battery. Unpredicted outcome. Now I'm freaking out. I have to generate a new sequence of behavior in order to get to the hospital. So I run downstairs, knock on my neighbor's door. Hey, I'm dying. I just drank arsenic or my arm's blown off. Can you take me to the hospital? Right? And that is the reintegration of stability, right? The reintegration of, I was in a frame, something new happened, it blew it out, now I have to go into a completely new frame with a different ideal state. And so that's what this diagram represents. And so the reason that frame is useful is because what it allows you to do is, or what it's allowed me to do is, any action that I'm taking, like making this video, I spent several hours making this video, I screwed up in many ways, and my neck hurts from looking down, and I gotta fix all this stuff. And what I do is, okay, I can contextualize, here's what I'm doing in the moment to moment. I can edit, I can speak, I have my limited frame. But by recognizing that I can take that limited way of viewing the world at the most granular level, I can expand it out and go, all right, how does this fit into my future goals, right? And I have to contextualize things. I go, okay, well, what do I want out of this? I don't know, what is this video meant to achieve? Well, it's meant to communicate something. It's meant to practice even communicating in this format, because I really do like standing up. I like speaking extemporaneously, and I want to do more of it. So even just if the ideal state is putting this out there for my regular viewers to, give some feedback on and say, hey, this sucked or whatever, you need to explain it differently, that's useful. But it's also working on speaking and editing and doing different things. And so I'm really tired, and I just appreciate everyone for making it through this far. And this might be the last video I post for the year, but we'll see. We got big things planned for 2023. So thank you, everyone. Good luck and Godspeed.